Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. What we're going to do today is just look over, because as we're filming this, the Frankfurt Motor Show is currently going on. And there's a couple of cars that have caught our eye there that we just wanted to talk about in the theme of the electric, the more modern electric cars that are coming out, and compare them to sort of stuff that's either already out or up and coming cars that we know are coming around the corner. And the first one we're just going to jump in and look at is the new Volkswagen e-Up.
Yeah, this particularly interests me actually. I'd say out of the entire, which is bizarre and all, but out of the entire Frankfurt Motor Show, this was one of the cars that genuinely caught my eye.
Same for me. It's one of the only ones I've actually done a lot of reading about.
Mainly because
says a lot.
For both of us, it's an affordable electric car, which is... that's the thing, it's affordable and it's actually something I want as well. It's not like a Nissan Leaf or... You know what I mean? I liked the Up just in its standard guise.
And I've driven the GTI one, which was really fun to drive.
Exactly. So for me, I was very curious about this, and some of the main stats on it is essentially before the UK government plug-in grant that you get, it's £23,000, which... For an electric car, obviously you need to take it in context, isn't actually that bad.
No, but it is a very small, obviously, city design car. This is not your motorway mile muncher type deal. This is sort of your central London, central Manchester, or short commutes like kind of I have in a way.
That being said though, having, I mean, we were on holiday earlier this year and we had a VW Up when we were on holiday.
Yeah.
Perfectly nice on the motorway, to be fair.
Yeah, very quiet.
It was very civilised. It felt like you were actually sat in a Polo in a lot of respects, which is a compliment. It felt like it's bigger brother.
A bit more solid than it actually was. Now, the one thing we'll say, obviously, this will vary around the world. So if you're not listening in the UK, I'm sure the government where you are will offer a grant. However, in the UK, the government will knock £3,500 off that, which puts it down to £19,500.
And this is what really caught our eye, because this is the first electric car I'm genuinely interested in that's actually under 20 grand.
Yeah, we can realistically buy this.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is obviously good, and also something I would genuinely consider, especially looking at it now. Now, the range has been upped. I don't know what it was originally.
I think it looks like the range was 99.
That was 99 miles. It's now up to 162.
It's a big improvement.
So, it's not quite, but it's nearly double.
It's a big improvement, though. Let's put it in this context. For me and my commute to work, 99 miles would mean that realistically, I'd be having to charge up every day.
Yeah.
162, on the other hand, I could do 2, maybe even 3, just because of the way that it would work out.
Yeah, from your commuting. I mean, 99 miles would probably do me pretty much a week, but my commute is a lot shorter than yours.
Yeah.
Or 162 miles. If I didn't do anything else, I reckon I could do nearly a week and a half.
No, and I think that little bit extra range will help a lot of people want to transition over to this car, because it allows you 162 miles. When you actually think about it in the context of the UK, is pretty decent.
It's 180 miles from us to London, and we're quite far up the north.
Exactly. So
182 miles, depending on which route you go from here to London.
Get yourself down. Say, for example, we get ourselves down on the M6 or whatever. Stop at a rapid charging point. Give it a bit of juice. Not
get
bad.
You to the rest of it, and there's plenty of charging stations in London, so you could realistically do that.
Well, as you say, it says here that its new battery pack can recover 80% charge in about an hour. Well, to be honest, let's be real.
By the time you've had a wee, had some lunch, had a bit of a drink, have a coffee, an hour flies by.
Exactly.
So I think that has now put it in. It's changed the ball game a little bit as that.
Oh, genuinely, genuinely.
Now, I think once, obviously, I could charge it here at the minute, but if you have on-street parking and things, that's where you might want to look at it, so that'll be all right. But if you've got a driveway where you live in like a city centre, there's plenty of charging points. Yeah. And most underground car parks now for apartments actually have the chargers on the walls.
Makes logical sense.
So I think in fact, one of our friends, he's just bought a new house, and on the new house, it comes with an electric charging point.
Yeah.
No extra charge or anything like that. It just, pardon the pun there, it just comes straight in with the price. So they are thinking about this, and now that he realistically could.
Absolutely. He could realistically afford to buy that, and he has a house with a charging point all ready to go. For him, it would be a very practical little car.
Yeah, and I think it might be a thing. So what we thought we'd do is we'd just look this E-Up, obviously, it has a couple of rivals that are coming out.
Yes, it does.
So I suppose they have slightly more a rival for a Polo than an Up, but in terms of this comparison, we're going to look at them.
We're just looking at a
side
couple
by
of
side, yeah. So the first one being the new Vauxhall Corsa E. Now, on the Vauxhall website here in the UK at least, you can spec it, you can actually order it.
Yeah.
So it's obviously coming soon, if not already here, but I don't think it's delivering just yet, is it? So the big difference is with the Corsa, obviously being a slightly bigger car, the price is slightly more. Now we just looked on it; it starts at 29, just under 30,000. Now that is, as far as we can tell, includes the government discount because it was the on the road price.
So this is the thing. Before I start railing on it, I don't want to be unnecessarily harsh. I actually do like the new Corsa E in quite a few respects. I think the styling is a massive improvement.
Yeah, it's improved over the last one significantly.
I think the interior is a huge step up as well.
Yes.
And it has a range of 205 miles, which taken on its own is actually quite good.
Yeah.
The trouble is it 10 grand more of a car than the Up?
I don't.
And
this is obviously I haven't driven any of these.
No,
I've driven a normal Up and I've driven a normal Corsa, but not the new one, so I can't comment on that. Between those two, the Up was the nicer to drive, but then again,
it is smaller.
It is smaller and everything. And you can't fit as much people. I wouldn't have fancied doing a long road trip with 4 people because it doesn't have a fifth seat. That has 5 seats.
Very true.
So if you've got 2 children and a dog, perhaps, I don't know, you can probably consider that.
For me though, about 30 grand is just too much for a Corsa. I'm sorry, for me it's just a little too much.
Yeah, well, I know we talk about this car a lot, but it's 5 grand more than a brand new Fiesta ST3.
Yeah.
I know it's electric.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different ballgame.
They are expensive. Electric cars are usually more expensive, but what you can get for the money, I don't know. But yes, it's pretty reasonable with 205 miles of range. I like how they specified it has 0 grams of emission. Obviously, it's electric.
Well, it depends what context you take that.
Yeah, if it's in VW's mantra, then you never know.
It's mainly more to do with where the electricity comes from in the first place.
Yeah, this is what always bugged me about all these people talking about this. No, they're eco and everything. They're actually not in the grand scheme of things, because nickel mining to make a lithium battery is one of the most pollutant types of mining you can have.
Now, I did some research into this back in 2016 for my degree. And it did come out that when the entire life cycle of an electric car is taken into consideration, from manufacture through to running, through to the end of its life, it is more environmentally friendly than its internal combustion counterparts, I believe, if I remember the research rightly. But yeah, I think that there probably are still some misconceptions knocking about.
Yeah, and also at the moment, anyway, here in the UK, the electric that you're putting in your car,
it might go. There is a chance that it's going to come from fossil fuel sources.
Yeah, and I know the UK now has 2 of the biggest offshore wind farms in the world, and they are switching over to that kind of more green energy.
It will only improve with time.
Yeah, but at the minute, there's still a few misconceptions. But for me, I think credit where it's due, Vauxhall are actually doing something.
Agreed.
They're getting on with it and they're actually trying to develop these cars. Obviously, this will feed into the brand new Peugeot 208 as well, because they're the same company and the same car, pretty much. So there'll probably be an electric 208 coming out as well. Another one we're just going to quickly compare it to is the new electric Mini. Now, I'm going to let you talk about this one because I know it's a few things you spoke about it a few times outside the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I will say off the bat, I think that, didn't it say that it starts from sort of low to mid 20,000?
24.
Yeah, 24. It starts from 24. But obviously in the model that they're showing in their advertising here, it was 27,000.
Yeah, now that is after the government grant.
Exactly. Nevertheless, though, that is cheaper than what you can pick up a Corsa E for.
Yes. But
there are drawbacks.
Yes.
One of them being the 145 mile range.
Yes, that's less than the Up.
That's less than the Up, which for me is a big concern, actually. Less than the Up's not good.
No, considering it's more. And technically it's a more of a car.
That's the thing. You're paying more, you're expecting more of a car. And in an electric car, range should come into that in some perspective.
Now let's be fair here, because most people who will probably buy this car will genuinely live in a town where they don't really go out of it, or they'll live in a city.
Yeah, probably.
So the commute, the mileage to some people might not be the be all and end all.
No.
However, I'm not going to be critical of the Mini too badly. As you well know, I'm not a massive fan of the new one. I think it's way too big to be considered a Mini, but that's beside the point. You have to have new safety things and things like that.
Yeah, sure. Regulations demand it, yeah.
It only has 4 seats, which for a car as big as the Corsa and the Fiesta and whatnot, how has that even become a thing? The boot is tiny.
I actually struggle to get into the back.
You do struggle to get into the back.
And for a big car, that is kind of...
Yeah. The boot is basically non-existent.
Yeah.
It's tiny. But yet there's still somehow no space inside.
I genuinely do think that range is a little bit... When I first heard about this car, you know for a fact that even without looking into its competitors in more detail, I heard that range and thought, that's a bit short.
Yeah.
As in... And it is, if you look at the Corsa E, for example, and even the new E-Up, he is falling a little short on range.
It is, and I say that coming from, I'm assuming these parts have come from B&W, or the electric motors have come from B&W in some guys. If that's what's to come with B&W as well, maybe in a 1 Series or a i3 all-electric, I know that doesn't have that good of a range, really, does it?
I mean, I don't know whether they're limited because of the design of the Mini and obviously the shape that it has to be, and I don't know whether they're limited on what they can do with the platform. I'm not entirely certain.
Yeah, we don't know the workings, but yeah, it's falling short of its competitors. Price-wise, it's obviously roughly in the middle, which
is good, I guess.
Price-wise is not that bad. Everyone gets them on finance these days anyway, so the actual...
the
overall price is pretty much meaningless to most people.
I do like the fact that it has kept its character, at least, though.
It looks like a Mini.
It looks like a Mini, and I think it helps break down that stereotype of all electric cars looking weird.
Well, that was always my big gag. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I actually like the look of the i8, but it is technically a hybrid. It's not an all-electric car.
Yeah.
When the concept that first came out and we saw it, like, there is no way on earth that the real car is going to look anything like that.
And they nailed it.
And then they nailed it, and it looked great. But it's not obviously a normal car, which most people can go and buy. Then they brought out the family-ish car, the i3, and that was just, wow, why would you even... You'd step back from that drawing and just think, nah, mate, I'm not...
The technology for the time was very impressive. They could have just put it in a nicer package. Why not take that fantastic technology and stick it into a 1 Series skin?
Yeah.
That's all.
I think the reason they've done it is because it got the world's attention.
And
it got the press's attention, which for obviously new technology, you want that. Which I can't blame them for. I think that is the reason why they did it. But yeah, like you said, now people just want a car that's electric, which is why Tesla's been so successful.
True, because it just looks like a nice saloon.
Yeah, and obviously now they've got like the Jaguars XE.
The XE.
BMW are doing 3 Series electrics, and I assume they'll bring out a 1 Series
Audi
electric.
have already done.
Yeah, they've got an A3
yeah.
electric and that kind of thing. And obviously Ford have got the Focus electric and
it's clear that
kind of stuff.
Clearly manufacturers have realised that
consumers
want a car that looks relatively normal, but they do want the new technology as well.
Yeah. So obviously the Up was the first car from Frankfurt that did catch our eye, and obviously compared to a couple of its rivals. But the second one that caught both of our eye, just because it's the new car, there was one at Goodwood. It was under
a veil.
Yeah, and then when they did bring it out, it was in obviously disguise. But as predictable as Porsche are, the design came out exactly how everyone thought it would. It's basically a Panamera that's electric. So this is the new Porsche Taycan.
Yeah, I think it looks great, actually. I really like the styling. For me, it looks almost like a stretched out Cayman.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That is the thing with Porsche, isn't it? Like I know a lot of cars do make a lot of cars that look the same, but Porsche don't really. They evolve rather than...
Yeah, it's an evolutionary design process rather than a revolutionary one with each.
And this to me is basically going to be what the next Panamera, if they do another Panamera, because it'll probably get replaced by this. In time.
Yeah.
So I think that'll probably be what the next Panamera will look.
Yeah,
will look
and
like.
I won't be complaining at that.
No, it is better. It is slightly better looking than the existing model. So let's just talk about a few of the numbers for the Taycan. So this is where it gets a little bit against it, because we're going to compare it to obviously the big dog in this area, the Tesla Model S.
Yes.
For this type of car. So the Taycan, it has 2 different models. If you've got the Turbo and the Turbo S, which is...
It baffles me.
It's just a stupid name for an electric car, but hey ho, who am I to criticise? So it has the normal one, the Turbo, which has a range of 279 miles, or claimed range of 279 miles, while the Turbo S will do 257 miles.
Now, the 257 figure, about 250, does put you in the ballpark of the I-Pace if you want some sort of comparison for miles that it can do. Has a lot more performance than the I-Pace.
Yeah, because it's not a family car in that. I know it's got four doors and whatever, but the I-Pace is obviously big, kind of an SUV type car.
Yeah, I was just thinking of a comparison on range. So 200, it's just trying to put it into context. That taken on its own, you might think that 257 miles for a car that has that sort of sporting potential is quite good.
Yeah. Now, the price does sort of, again, it's a Porsche, so you're paying for the badge, but it starts at £116,000 in the UK.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if that includes a government grant, but I can't imagine knocking...
Now, if I remember rightly, I thought there was a ceiling on the price for when the government grant stopped being applied. I thought there was a limit as to
I think there is. I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, it might not be that high, because Teslas used to be as much, if not more than that, especially the X and whatnot, and they still got it, so I'm not sure what it is anyway. But yeah, £116,000 for the standard turbo model, which it is a lot.
Yeah.
Especially, I know again you're paying for the badge and you're probably paying for Porsche build quality is second to none. It's renowned for
it's true, and I will say the interior looks fantastic. It's got these haptic buttons along the dashboard. It does look sensational.
One thing that did catch my eye just while we were doing a bit of research into this, so you can get 62 miles of range in just over 5 minutes of charge time.
Yeah.
Which I think that's actually quite good. If you're just a bit short but you're nearly there, just 5 minutes, I'll quickly send a few messages and then you're done.
Having a look at this though, there isn't any of those in the UK yet. There aren't any of those charging facilities in the UK.
That is true. So obviously here you can't do that unless you get one somehow installed in your own home, which I'm assuming you could actually do.
But the potential is there though. I mean, as in, should that technology make its way over to the UK?
Well, it will. It's just a case of when.
You've got it.
Yeah. So the one we were going to obviously compare it to is the Tesla Model S. Now this, as you'll probably agree with me, at the moment at least, is probably the best selling and the class leader.
Yeah, if you think of an electric saloon, you're thinking of either the Model 3 or the Model S, let's be honest.
But for this sake, it's obviously going to have to be the Model S, because the Model 3 is significantly cheaper.
Now, this is a direct competitor.
Yeah, so it's a four-door sort of family saloony type car with a hatchback boot, which is exactly what this is. So remember those numbers we've just gone over. So the Model S, bear in mind the first one came out in 2012. They have just refreshed it, or they're about to just refresh it, so perfect timing. Now this one, we did spec one up, so we've got one here.
Yeah.
So it actually starts, the long range one is 77,200.
Yeah.
And the performance one, which we'll be using for this comparison, is 91,000.
Which we thought was, obviously that's not cheap, but that actually came in a little bit cheaper than I thought it would be.
They have dropped the prices. They did used to be more, from what I remember. So just a comparison, remember, the Taycan, what was that? Was 200 and...
Yeah, let's go for the top one. So the Turbo S.
So the Turbo S, 279 miles of range.
Was it? I thought it was 257.
Oh, sorry, 257 and 279 for the normal one.
So 257 for the Turbo S.
So the Tesla, the long range one, so the 77,000 one, is 375 miles. So you've got 100 miles extra.
Yeah.
And just to put this in perspective, it has 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, which is still rapid. Now that is slower than the Taycan, which we did mention. Where is it? Hang on, let me find it. Was it? Oh, it was 2.7 seconds for the Taycan. Where was it? We literally just had this on the screen and now it's disappeared. I remember it was 2.7 seconds for the S.
Right, okay.
I know that one. So it's 2.7 seconds for the performance version of the Porsche.
Right.
So the performance version of the Tesla, 2.4 seconds.
I imagine they'll come out relatively evenly matched.
Yeah, in a real world scenario. Well, you're not going to notice 0.3 of
No, exactly. Anyway. No, but the point is, if you want rapid acceleration sub 3 seconds, either will do the job.
Do that. Porsche have a habit of understating theirs as well. So it may come out as 2.4, but this is where this is the bit where it gets me. The performance Tesla has a range of 365 miles.
Yeah.
So you only lose 10 miles from the long range one to the performance one.
Sure.
Now compare that to the performance Taycan, which, what was it, 257 miles?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
It's significantly less.
Significantly cheaper.
Well, as he said, not only is the Tesla performance significantly cheaper, but the Porsche is also going into this range battle down.
Yeah, because
really down.
People not. If you think of an electric car, even if you're not into cars, if you think of an electric car, usually you go to Tesla.
Yeah, your mind usually goes there, doesn't it? They were first on the scene as in making. They were the pioneers of trying to make the electric car something that normal people wanted, making it accessible to a wider range of people.
Yeah, and genuinely now, especially with the Model 3, I think they've succeeded.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think the Model 3 is now genuinely taken into consideration by people who would want to buy things like a 3 Series.
Well, to be fair, I am now starting to see a lot of them driving around.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing them.
There's a couple at the gym now that park out. If you've seen them yet, they might go up more the time when I go. But some brand new 69 plate. And
I like
3s.
the looks. And I agree with you. So I think it's interesting how the Model S is able to keep that rapid performance, keeping the cost under £100,000, and you're getting still a lot better range than what the Taycan Turbo S can.
Yeah, and as we know, Tesla's been pumping out charging stations across the country. They've been doing all sorts to make sure that this is a viable option for people to go and buy.
Well, as you said, for example, we were on the way down to Salon Privé and we stopped at a service station near Oxford, and we saw a massive line of them, didn't we?
Yeah.
These Tesla supercharging
and there was Teslas in them.
And there were Teslas in them, exactly.
Yeah, so it obviously showing that they are now becoming more and more of a viable option.
Yeah.
Which, out of these two, personally, I prefer the looks of the Porsche, but that's when you're talking like 30 grand more for the cheapest Taycan over the absolute top range Tesla, and it does less miles, it's slower to 60. I think the top speed will be limited to 155. They usually are for German cars.
It doesn't really matter,
but
though,
it's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
The Tesla does 162 anyway, but you can't do it on the public road anyway.
And honestly, and I don't know, obviously, the photography that Tesla use on their website that we're looking at here, in that particular colour and in that spec, if I'm being honest, I kind of prefer it to the Taycan.
Well, yeah.
It floats my boat because, again, I like a simple style. And genuinely, it seems to...
Well, you can't get more simple.
You can't get more simple, no.
So, there are a couple from the Frankfurt show that did sort of capture our eye. Obviously, it's all electric ones there. Nothing else there really grabbed my eye. There's a new Lamborghini Sian, I can't pronounce it, Sian.
No, we just thought they were interesting.
Yeah. Well, that is a hybrid, the new Lambo. Which is
cool.
The first time for them. Still only 800 horsepower, though. I say only in the...
Yeah, but the horsepower sort of battle, it has to end eventually, right?
800's more than enough.
Exactly, yeah.
So what we'll do, just one quick little end topic. We just thought, I was just looking around on Auto Trader the other day and just put the idea in our head, doesn't it? Just to have a look at some of the... Well, obviously there's other websites available. We use Auto Trader. Some of the most expensive cars currently for sale in the UK. Mm-hmm. And what sort of the things they are. Now, I was very, very gutted. We did another search today. A few days ago when I did it, there was actually an Aston Martin Vulcan for sale. But unfortunately, that looks like it's sold or gone because it's no longer here.
Yeah.
So, currently, as it stands, just under £4 million is the most expensive car for sale in the UK at the minute.
Yeah.
Which is a yellow LaFerrari Aperta. Now, we're not going to discuss that just in this one, but that currently is the most expensive car for sale.
No.
One that did capture my eye though. So we've got a normal LaFerrari here, which is for sale at Stratstone, Manchester, just down the road from us.
Yeah.
Currently up for £2.45 million, which is an astonishing amount of money. I don't know why. I don't know how they've got to the point where they're worth this much.
Yeah, because how much were they new? I mean, you're making money,
I think they were just over $1 million.
Yeah, they were about £1 million.
This is the thing I don't understand about people who buy Ferraris. He's not criticising me anyway, obviously it's fine, but the LaFerrari was well renowned from being the slowest of the three of the Holy Trinity. It might be the best looking in some people's eyes. I think it looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, true.
It didn't have a fully electric mode really, other than from going in and out of the garage. But you could use it for like going really slow. Yeah, that was it. Obviously, it has a V12, which is probably a selling point because that sounds a lot nicer than a V8.
V8, yeah.
But anyway, it's one of the things. They also made quite a few of them. I think it was 499 of them they made.
Right. Okay.
Whereas the P1, for example, faster, had electric mode, had arguably better looks in my opinion. That's obviously subjective.
Yeah.
They made a lot less of them. I don't know the exact number, but it was a lot less.
Yeah.
And they're going for what? 1.5 million, 1.2 million, or sort of over 1 million less.
To be fair, I've always liked the 918 as well.
Yeah,
I think that was very forward thinking.
I can understand why that's cheaper, because they made nearly double of that. They made nearly 1,000 of them. Obviously, 918.
I was just thinking, as far as the technology that was used in the 918, it leaned on its electric motors more than the other two, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like a Golf GTI with the electric motors, which is stupid considering that was just its secondary power. But anyway, that's by that. We're getting a bit off topic.
Either way,
there. So what we're looking at is two that caught our eye, wasn't it? So there's a LaFerrari at 2.45 million for a standard LaFerrari, not the Aperta.
Yeah.
And then right underneath it at 2.25 million is a Ferrari Enzo, available at Tom Hartley, which is also in Cheshire, just down the road from us. Now, this leads on to a bit of a discussion of what would you rather buy. So the LaFerrari was 2014 registered, and this was a 2004 registered.
Yeah.
10 years between them, but 200 grand price difference from the Enzo to the LaFerrari. Which would you buy if it was your money?
If it was my money, I'd get the Enzo.
As would I.
Reason being, it's already over a decade old, and it's still amazing.
Yeah, I think... One thing I'll always say, the Enzo pictures never do it justice.
No, are you
never,
right?
Ever.
You are right.
When you see Enzos in the flesh, they are something to behold. I think they are absolutely stunning looking car. The engine note, if you're interested, I've got a very, very old video from Donington back in the day of an Enzo driving past. Just at idle, like just ticking over, just cruising past. It was so loud.
No, I always really like the Enzo, and if it was my money, considering that they are so relatively similarly priced.
Yeah, and also it's also rarer.
Yeah.
I think they only made 399 of those, which again adds to it. I think in future that will be worth more than the LaFerrari.
Probably.
Just from this, if they're already at 2.25 million, I think they were 400,000 new.
Okay.
So they've...
Granted, that's not adjusted.
No, if you put
put inflation on it, I don't know how that'll shape out.
You probably cut about £1 million, I reckon. So it's gone over double. Got about 3% inflation a year, and plus
it's not necessarily about that though. It's worth a lot more than what it was new, even when you're accounting for inflation.
Oh, hell of a lot.
Maybe it's not worth the same as the LaFerrari, but for me, if it was my money, it would be my choice. Not to mention the fact that it comes back to the Enzo is, in a lot of respects, a simpler design. It is a cleaner looking.
Yeah. And in many respects, it probably is a worse car. It's 10-year technology worse, but genuinely, I'd buy that over a LaFerrari in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even cross my mind to make that decision.
Me too.
Also, from us, it's a childhood car.
That's the thing as well. It reminds me of, it's nostalgic. Yeah.
So the next one we're going to talk about, this is the second most expensive car for sale in the UK at the minute. I'm actually going to see it on Wednesday as well. I've seen it before in Preston, because it used to be for sale in Preston, did this.
Okay.
It's the McLaren P1 GTR. However, this has been converted by Lanzante to be a road legal P1 GTR. Now that is what piques my interest. I'm not interested in a track only car unless you can drive this to the track day, kill it on a track, and then drive it home.
Now you see, as soon as we saw that, my mind immediately switched to the Vulcan road legal car.
Yes, I don't know who converted that one.
No, I can't remember off my... I know they gave it...
I think it could have been Lanzante again, but...
They gave it a really cool colour scheme recently, though, as the Vulcan Bomber, didn't they?
Yes.
Which was really, really cool. Where, if we can find a picture of that...
I will put it on, I will find one. So this P1 GTR, obviously, it's a fairly well-known car. I think it looks insane. The huge, big fixed wing, the extremely race car interior. That interior... roll cage, everything, obviously race car steering wheel.
It's the business. It looks like a GT3 car on the inside.
To be fair, it is. When you buy this car normally, it is a racing car. It's track only, everything like that. This has been converted to the road, so it's still got all the stuff in it. And look at that rear end.
Oh, that's the thing. By the looks of it, it looks like they've been able to convert it to a road legal car without losing very much of what made it so special as a track car. So
so they've done... According to this little plaque on it, they did 28 road conversions of P1 GTRs, and this is chassis number 18 of those. I also very, very much like the colour scheme. Matte black with red accents.
Yeah, me too. I think one of my favourite colour schemes is the sort of yellow and dark green. So like the old Lotus colour schemes.
I have seen one that was actually the same owner, to be fair. He had, the Lark McLaren F1. kind of like orange or pink, quite a big lark writing across the front. A guy who has that McLaren F1 has got one of these in matching livery.
Oh, cool.
And that looks insane. I've got a picture of that, actually. I'll try and put that on. But yeah, that's £3 million.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money, but arguably worth it.
Well, it's very rare. I think that's an important thing to say as well. It's very unique. If your aim is to have a track car that'll also turn heads and you can drive it about on the road, well, you can't really do that much better, can you?
Hopefully, I'll be seeing this car on Wednesday. So if you do want to see some, I'll try and get some pictures of it while I'm there, if it's still there. It's at McLaren London.
Okay.
So if you want to keep an eye on my Instagram page, if I get a good decent picture, I'll post that for you. And another one that's came up actually, because I was kind of going to compare this to the LaFerrari in some respects, because at the minute a HRO and Lamborghini, I have seen this, Bugatti, sorry.
Yeah.
In London, there is a Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse for sale. Now this is an extremely highly spec'd car because it's got the bare tinted blue carbon exterior skin. Mm-hmm. Now, if I remember correctly, I think that was a £250,000 optional extra.
Blimey.
Which, when you're talking a £2 million car anyway, it gets expensive. Very, very highly spec'd, extremely good looking car in my opinion. I'm not too sure about the orange leather, but it's a bit, it suits that car.
I guess so. I mean, it is all about sort of.
Yeah, it's a shouty car.
Yeah.
This is 2.55 million.
Yeah.
So
that puts it in the ballpark.
It puts it in the ballpark of the
Yeah.
LaFerrari. Now, again, this is it's the Supersport convertible, the Vitesse version of the Veyron. I'm not exactly sure on numbers, but I think in total they only made 50 Supersport versions, including the Vitesse. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. Extremely rare car.
Yeah, agreed.
Very highly spec'd. Obviously, in terms of actual prestige, the Bugatti badge has a lot more than the Ferrari in many respects.
But this particular model, it was the world's fastest car at one point.
I think it's still the world's fastest convertible. I think it still is the world's fastest.
It still holds a title.
Well, this is the convertible one. The standard Veyron, obviously, not the Chiron.
Yeah.
Has now broken that. But but I think Bugatti has a more luxury feel to it because it is that very, very much prestigious brand. It's faster than LaFerrari. In my honest opinion, this particular spec, I think better looking. That's just my opinion. And I think because it's so much rarer and also the way it pushed boundaries, I think, again, in the future, this will probably be the better investment. I'm not saying LaFerrari is going to go down. I still think it's going to go up in value, but
no, I think
this will shoot up more.
I agree. I think it's more unique, and if it was my money, I guess if it was between them two, I would buy it.
And also that, genuinely, you could use a Veyron every day.
Yeah,
genuinely could. Some particular people do, and it's comfortable. It's got the luxury of a Rolls Royce. It actually has boot space. Arguably not many, but it has it, and the sound and.
Although for me, though, given that this is so closely priced with the Enzo as well, if it was my money, I'd probably end up still going for the Enzo, though. Because I just like the Enzo.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the Enzo. If it was between them two, I'd have to pump for that.
Well, that's the thing. It depends. If I'm thinking about it purely as an investment with my investment head on, I would end up going for the Bugatti. But if I'm going with my heart, I'd end up with the Enzo.
I think the Enzo, again, compared to those three, ignore the LaFerrari for now, I think the Enzo will be even better of an investment than that, personally.
Yeah.
But because that doesn't, while the R obviously do cost a lot to run, the Veyron are well renowned for having stupendously high running costs, like ridiculous. I think tyres about 20 grand a tyre. I think a service is 18 grand, 19 grand.
That's stupid.
Which it's obscene. But obviously you're spending $2.5 million on a car.
It's not really going to bother you.
Yeah, you're not strapped for cash. And they always Bugatti always say that thing like every average owner or whatever has at least 2 jets, 50 cars, and a yacht. So these people aren't poor. They probably wipe their ass with 20 grand, don't they? But yeah, out of them cars we've just mentioned, then if it was my own money, genuinely, I think I would go buy the P1 GTR just for the hilarity of it.
Yeah.
I'll probably sell it again.
But again, extremely unique as well, though. That is very much.
Even rarer than that, I think. So that'd be my choice out of them. I'm guessing yours would be the Enzo.
Probably the Enzo, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, that's a good little way to just round that off there. If you have any topics or you want to tell us which one of those you'd prefer to buy and why, all the links to social media are obviously in the descriptions below. And then we will be back next week for another topic.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. See you later. Bye.